folks, it's 3:30. We're going to make a start. My name's Greg Basford. With me is Jason Ranieri, our CloudShare Support Officer for this term. And I'm, as most of you know, the eLearning Project Officer here. It's great that we've got such a huge turnout today. I think we've got, close to 40 people. Is that right, Jason? So we've got quite a few of you, which is great. All right, that's enough from me. I'm going to hand over to Jason, who's going to run you through today's session.
Thanks, Greg. Welcome, everybody. Today we're going to look at 20 ways to integrate CloudShare into the classroom. I thought I'd create this presentation because just to make it specific to teachers, especially since there's not too many resources out there that are specifically designed for getting Google Docs into the classroom. So I thought 20 ways, some of which we're going to delve deeper into and show a bit more demonstration on than others. Others are just merely ideas that we're going to, I'm trying to present to you. Maybe that will maybe spark some of your own ideas, and maybe you can feed off that. If you want to access the presentation, you can type that into your browser, or you don't need to be logged in or anything, but it might help if you are, maybe with a few activities a little bit later. So if you type that into your browser, you can bring up this presentation. Oh, let me go back. It is case sensitive, so make sure you get the appropriate case as well. So I'll just leave that open for a bit. St. Clair's is back. Can you guys hear us now?
Doesn't look like it. I'm not sure.
They're still, they've muted at least.
St. Clair's, can you hear us? Okay. Well, we'll send you an email and see if we can get you on the mobile.
So if everyone's typed that in, they should have access to the presentation. If you want to follow along, just stay on the same slides as me. That'd be great. Okay, so the first way to obviously integrate CloudShare into the classroom is, and it's especially powerful, is in the planning stages. And now with the Australian curriculum coming up and redeveloping and adjusting programs as well, many hands make light work. So when you're creating lesson plans or programs, it's much easier when you're collaborating, and Google Docs really does lend itself to collaboration. So if we, as a little activity, we can create a lesson plan together, hopefully. So if you could type that in, or if you have the presentation, it is clickable. Open that up in a new browser, in a new browser, and hopefully we can start collaborating together. So as you can see in Google Docs, you'll see people who are logged in should come up here with their picture or their name. People who aren't logged in become anonymous browsers, and they're still able to contribute if you have the sharing settings appropriately positioned. So what I was thinking we could do today is create a lesson plan. I thought we'll still allow some people to log in, but as we're logging in, something that everyone's familiar with, we could start creating a lesson plan on, it doesn't need to be too serious, we can have it on The Voice and who's going to win. Or I'm not sure if it's already finished, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
So we can see, let's just see how quickly we can populate this together. I just want to highlight, the power of this. So if you want to take a heading each and start attacking this lesson plan, let's see how quickly we can get this done. I'm guessing in under 3 minutes, hopefully. So the Catholic's perspective, I don't know. So you can start typing. You can see other people typing in real time. So maybe an assessment might be and you can change the formatting and everything, and everyone can happen in real time. Don't be afraid to type. You're not going to break it. So you can see that everybody's typing, everybody's contributing. You also notice here in Google Docs, you can have a table of contents. So if you're formatting with headings, for instance, I can set this as a heading and it can auto-populate in our table of contents by just inserting. Sorry.
Oh, you've already got it there, so it's
yeah. And if you click these, it takes you to your table of contents, especially if you've got quite a large document, which some of your programs might become. So you can see that it's not taking very long at all, and with many hands make light work, as I said before. And you can do this when you're developing your programs for the Australian curriculum and adapting them that way. So I highly suggest that. We can then move on. So collaboration is the key. And when collaborating with students especially, commenting and marking is also a powerful tool within Docs. I have here a film review that's done by a student. It's on the movie Titanic. Open that up by clicking the link or typing in the address here. That'd be great. And I'll show you the power of commenting specifically in Google Docs. So if you open that up, close that lesson plan down. Okay, you'll see that some of the text has been highlighted. And you can see that we've got all of our members here. Commenting is powerful because you can set up documents to be comment only, which, as you can see, you can't, as a viewer, I've set it up so that anybody can comment rather than edit. So the text remains, all the formatting remains, so you're not worried about people coming in and breaking things or ruining formatting or anything like that, but comments can still be made on the document. So a highlighted option to comment first, I'll show you how to comment on the document as a whole. So just press this button up here and we can see that you can comment, and if you want you can go ahead and start commenting yourselves. You can start commenting, great read, and it will populate itself. You can give marks that way, you can give some feedback, and this is a really good tool to do on an overall level. You can then, if you want to mark specific sections of a document, you can highlight and then right-click the document, and if you press comment, you can write a specific comment about that particular area, whether it be spelling, whether it be you want to suggest better ways to phrase things, or there might be other reasons why you might want to target specific areas of text. but this is a really powerful way to get that collaboration between teacher and student. If the student reads your comments, you can, and then or makes their own comments, you're able to. So I've seen Matt Burns has made a comment here. If I want to reply to his comment, okay, I can. I have that ability. The evidence is, and you can point along, and I can reply. If a document becomes obviously too heavily commented on, and there might be questions, and you might post answers, you can resolve the comment here, and it puts it away, but it doesn't delete it. It still remains in the comments, so you can always trace it back. So another really powerful tool when it comes to that collaboration between teacher and student, and that feedback can be you can even comment in real time. So if a student is typing away during your lesson or during the time you've allotted them, you can see them typing in real time, and you might make comments in real time if that's the way you want. And that goes back to some well-documented research by Hattie, saying that accurate, specific, and timely feedback is very, very important when measuring student learning. So that feedback option is very, very powerful in Google Docs.
Do we have any questions so far on either of those two things? Feel free to drop in, unmute your microphone, and ask any questions if there's something you wanted to understand. Maybe you didn't quite pick up something Jason covered, or you've got something else you'd like to contribute. Maybe an example of some of the ways you've used commenting with students yourself. Any questions or comments?
Jason?
Yes.
What's that one where you can do the voice comments?
That's an add-on.
Yeah, that's a third-party add-on that you get from the Chrome Web Store. It's called Read and Write.
No, it's another one other than that. I've got Read Write. There's another one.
Oh, is there?
Okay, yeah, there was actually. I'll take that offline. I'll let Jason continue. It was in the Google Guide, so I'll
put one up there. Yeah, might be worth pointing out to people.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry, you know what it is, do you, Jeff?
I think I put it on Google Guide, so I can't remember it. Or someone did.
I'll find it.
No worries. We'll post it in the comments.
Okay.
No worries. All right. Is there any other questions before we move on? All right. Awesome. If there is, nice little segue here. If there is any questions, we can go to our third one, and we can use Google Moderator to moderate our questions. Google Moderator is a really good tool to use to promote discussion within your class. And if you want to click the link in the presentation, if you do, it'll bring up a new interface, a new window, and you can type in comments or questions. In this case, I would like you to just populate it with questions you might have about this presentation. So I'll start it off with our first question from Jeff. What was the extension for voice comments? And if I post that, if I submit that as a question, what will happen is it'll populate. If you refresh your page, obviously, if you've already loaded it, you'll be able to see that question. And if you agree with that question you would also like to know, you can also give it an upvote as well. So it populates it based on popularity. So the most significant comments or questions populate towards the top. So that's a really good way to promote discussion within a classroom using Google Moderator. It's really easy to set up a new question. You can just add a new topic. Just go into Google Moderator, you can Google it. Set up a new question and just give them the address and off you go. So we can see that we've already got 3 people requesting this option. If maybe I reload it, there might be other questions or not yet, but
I've got a response there.
We've got a response. There we go. Awesome. So just you can get responses from teachers, from other colleagues. You might want to do it with other staff members. It's a good way to promote discussion. So if you do have any questions, as well as asking on the VC, or if you might think of something later, post a comment here or question, and I'll hopefully address it. Oh, here we go. How do we get into Google Moderator? Okay, that's a good question. I'll show you quickly. We can open up a new tab. You can go to we'll start from a central location. So it doesn't populate here. I find the easiest way is to just type in Google Moderator, and it's just google.com/moderator, and you're in that way. As you can see, I have other questions that I've already set up, and if you want to just create a new series, create a series, and off you go. Hopefully that answered that question. We can close that down. All right, moving on. So yeah, again, if you have any questions, post it on there. We'll check that intermittently. So let's move to the next slide. Okay, so a bit more, just more of a. Also, just with the formatting of the presentation, these red ones indicate some kind of interaction or some demonstration, while these grey slides are merely just ideas to give you guys to embed Google Docs in your classroom or at your school. So a good way to use Google Forms is to keep track of discipline referrals in your classroom. You can set up so you can forward on the appropriate people. So, for instance, principal or whoever else might be involved, and you can create it once, so you only have to tick a few boxes to if it's an ongoing issue.
We might want to ask whether people have used forms before.
Is anyone not aware of how to use or how to create a Google form?
Might have to speak up because it's a bit hard for us to see without screen.
Just unmute your microphone if you're unfamiliar with Google Forms.
Hi, it's Amina. We've got a couple of staff here that haven't done them.
Okay, no worries. I can quickly run through creating a Google form. So what we can do, just go to Drive. You can go to your Google Drive and create, and one of the options here is form.
You could show the one that they filled out for.
And so it gives you a whole range of templates to use, and you can give it a title. So, for instance, if it's discipline, or if it's our next one we're going to go into is unit evaluation, or whatever it is, you can do it that way, and you can set up your questions. You have a few options as well. So just entering text, or if it's a bit longer, you can use paragraph text. If it's a multiple choice or checkboxes, there's a whole list of things, and you can play around with those and see which one, because some questions might lend itself to a few different types of questions, question types. So you can play around with those and have a go with those. I can show you the form that you guys filled in to register. So if I quick BC. Forms also do.
Hold on, sorry, I'm editing that at the same time. Hold on for a second.
So this is the form that you guys registered to use to register today. So you can set up a few different fields. a drop-down menu, and you can set that all up. And the answers, so once that's been submitted, if you own the form, your answers are presented in a spreadsheet form. So you can see that all the answers to this to the questions. In this case, it was information about each of you guys. Is presented in a nice, neat spreadsheet.
Show the summary of results.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can also show a summary of results. So, for instance, if you have a certain question that a certain people amount of responses answered to. So, most of you guys, it does present a summary.
Okay. All right.
Hello.
Hello.
They can hear us now.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Is that St. Clair's?
Yeah, we're just connecting through my laptop now. So we're here. Sorry about all those hassles, and we'll mute now and we'll be listening.
No worries.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Okay, so you can see that there's a summary of results, and it presents it in a nice, neat view with different graphs and stuff like that. So it's good to see patterns or other things emerging. So let's moving back. So Forms is a powerful tool to use that way, and it's also powerful when at the end of a unit, for instance, you can collect information about doing a unit evaluation, or if you've finished an assessment task or something like that, and you want to gather some feedback from the students or the staff, for that matter. If you want to get feedback from them, you can present a few short questions, and you can get a bit of feedback that way. So from unit evaluations. You can also conduct a pre-test with Forms. It's a good way to identify the existing knowledge base of your students. So you can target areas that need to be targeted in specific units. So, for instance, in mathematics, they might find that their multiplication tables might need a little bit of work, and you might be giving them a few simple questions. And you can see through the summary of results, obviously, the patterns emerging after all of your students have completed that pre-test. And you can obviously address it that way. Okay, we have a red one, so we're going to do a little bit of a demonstration now. We can track student homework through spreadsheets. In Google, you're able to create spreadsheets similar to Microsoft Excel. So you can track student homework completion in spreadsheets, and I'll show you a few quick tricks to help with that. So let me quickly go back. All right, I have a blank spreadsheet that I've created. You can create a spreadsheet in Google Drive, similar to the way you did Forms. All you'd have to do is hit Spreadsheet, and it will create a new one. I've just entered the weeks along the top to save me some time. If you want to create a spreadsheet and you want to show the kids, especially if it's something like homework, or if you want to keep a record that way, it's probably a good idea to keep things anonymous, especially if you're going to embed it into a class site where they can readily access it. So they don't know who's who, and they really only know who they specifically are, and you know who they are. So a good trick is to give them anonymous names. And Google has a nice little trick here to help generate that. What it does is you enter a field. I've done one previously with animals, and it's got all different types of animals. And the way to do that, to automatically generate names, is to type in anything that's relatively well known. So, for instance, we can do Lady Gaga.
Lady.
Oh.
Lady. Yeah. Almost.
Lady Gaga. All right. So The trick is to hold Option if you're on a Mac or Alt if you're on a PC. Hold that down. Click the little square in the bottom and drag it down to however many students. And what Google will do is find like terms or like other things, and you can see it's populated. We got Rihanna, Eminem, and it's obviously recognized Lady Gaga, and it's done the appropriate thing. So it's a good little trick to help generate random names or other things. It works with capital cities, it works with animals, and various other things. Have a play around with that, and you might get some interesting results. All right, so we've generated our kids' names, and we've assigned the kids to the specific singer in this case. You might want to mark homework out of 10 or write complete or not complete. In this case, we've marked it out of 10. And just to save a bit of time, I've randomly assigned some values. So we've got our first week, and we've marked it out of 10. At the moment, it's a little bit boring. We want to jazz it up and make it a little bit more visually striking, especially if we're going to embed it into a site later. And it especially helps when it's color-coded to identify trends or other things like that. So what I want to do is do a little bit of conditional formatting. What that means is we're going to apply some rules, and it's going to color-code it appropriate to those rules. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all the fields where there's going to be data. So I'm going to select all my data, and I'm going to format, and I'm going to conditionally format it. And here's where I'm going to start adding my rules to it. So because we're going to mark it out of 10, we're not going to use text. We're going to use, obviously, values. So I'm going to say it is between 1 and, we'll say, 4. And then I'm going to make my background orange. If I want to add another rule, so I want to add another color, obviously, I'm going to go again, is in between, so from 5 till, we'll say 7, we're going to go yellow. Add another rule. We go is between 8 and 10. We're going to give that one a green one. And for our final, naughty kids who don't do their homework is equal to 0. And we're going to make that one red. Okay, so I'm going to save my rules, and it's going to organize it appropriately. And because I selected all the cells that are going to have data, what it will do is it will automatically color them. 3, 0. Color them appropriately. So as I enter them, it will do that. So that's a nifty little way to use a spreadsheet to track homework, and that's easily embedded into a site for later. But you just need to make sure that you're sharing it. If you're going to share it with students, just change it to anyone with a link, and that's appropriate because at the moment, to anybody who doesn't, who's not in the class, that doesn't mean really anything because of the anonymity that has been given with these names. Okay? Moving on. Okay, so in calendar, you can create appointment slots you can schedule out a time where you would like, and you can create increments of time that are allowed to be booked into by others. So I'll quickly demo this one. So if you go to your calendar, I might make a time, a day, where I want to slot away some time that I want to meet with some parents. For instance, it's parent-teacher interview afternoon. So I can press a new event and I can create appointment slots. What that will do, I can name it whatever I like. So parent-teacher interviews, and I can create 5-minute increments, and I can create that. Okay. Once you can also, if you want to edit the event, it'll show you the URL where you can get to apply for those 5-minute increments, and you can share that link, or you can use a Google shortener to share that link with others so they can sign up for those 5-minute increments. So that's a powerful tool.
So show us what that looks like.
So that will look like. So the next available.
I think you made it. Just hit next available appointment slot. Yeah, there they are.
Okay, so those are the 5-minute increments that you can make. Obviously, because I chose like 6 hours in 5-minute increments, it's become a little bit messy. But if I do that, that might make it a little bit better. So you can, and then you can sign up for it, and it will populate on my calendar because it's obviously linking to mine. So that's a powerful tool when trying to organize parent-teacher or other kind of interview appointments or anything like that. You might also have some time in a free period, or after school you might allot yourself some time, or before school where you might want to book yourself in with some specific students, and they can sign up for times that way. So yeah, you can also manage your timetable. If you want to put in your timetable for your periods for school, or for our primary people, if they want to allot some time for catering for different subjects or something like that, they can do that with calendar very, very easily. And it's not a matter of going through each day of the year and setting it up that way. If that was the case, then obviously no one would do that. You could easily, let me go back, repeat things in every 2 weeks if you've got a 2-week cycle, or every 1 week, and you can do that really easily. So if you want to create, say for instance, I got my period 2 class, it starts at 10. I can go and add it actually, because it might fall on a funny time like 10:23, because not everything is nice and neat often. It might go till 11:17, and you can and you can repeat that every Friday. So that might be your regular Friday period, every second week. So you can do that, and then you can even end after, you might have a 10-week term. So you can organize it that way, and you can really set yourself up. So you set yourself up once, and you're pretty much done.
Need to keep moving.
Okay, moving on. So you can also do that with your scope and sequence. This is the same kind of. What are we asking him?
Jason.
You have a question? Yes.
Yeah, right, sort of back at the beginning, you had on the right side you had all those slots that came up. How do you get to that view? The 5-minute increment thing.
Oh, okay.
You have to click the link.
You have to click the URL to the link. Let me quickly go back. Discard that. So if I go to my link that I've allotted, edit details, and there's a link there that you can share with others.
Great, thank you very much.
Not a problem. So you can do that similar to your scope and sequence. So if you allot your times, if you allot some time for catering to a specific unit, you can set that up for an all-day event as well. and you can start on, from one date to the last date. And you can do that way, and you can set up multiple calendars for your multiple classes for secondary as well. You can also, using Google Groups, you can group students. Often this has been the case with just grouping classes or year groups, but a good idea to maybe take away is maybe grouping students by skill level. So you can have those, those top few students in your class maybe that you might want to send extension exercises, group them together, and you can send out extension work via that way instead of, emailing each one or, handing out, 3 different tasks. You can use Google Groups effectively that way. You can also group parents together. A little caveat, they need to have a Google sign-in, but once they have a Google sign-in, it's very similar to creating a group with students, and you can communicate back and forth that way.
Just on that, Jason, a question we sometimes get around involving parents in the CloudShare Google Apps environment. Parents won't get their own CloudShare address, so they won't get an @sid.catholic.edu.au address like staff do, such as yourselves. Instead, they can just use their own personal Google account. That can be a Gmail account, or it can be their own email address, as long as it's tied to another Google account. So that's all I need. It's, signing up is free. So yeah, all they need to do is just get themselves a Google account, and you can add them to a group. When you are setting up parent groups, just be aware that you need to follow the Google Groups usage guidelines document. For those of you who are familiar with the Bootcamp site, all of the information is there, and there's also some specific instructions on creating groups like parent groups on how you go about that. If you've got some questions about that, feel free to either email me or contact me after the VC.
Cool. All right, let's move on. So you can also communicate in different languages. For instance, obviously there are parents who have limited English ability. So a powerful tool to have some email correspondence is very powerful in Google. So I got a dummy email here from Adam's father, who is a Greek man, who's written to me in Greek, and obviously I don't understand it because I don't speak Greek. So what I'm going to do is go to the email, open it up, click More, and translate the message. Google will automatically detect what language it is and translate it to my native language, and I can easily read it that way. I can reply in English, and he can do the same thing that way. Or if you're not confident in his ability to translate it back by using that function, you can type it in English and then translate it to Greek and then send it. Okay? Moving on. All right, so you can also, using Hangouts, Google Hangouts, you can correspond with students who are away, or maybe correspond with parents who aren't able to make parent-teacher interviews or something like that. And you can also work on Google Docs at the same time. So that's a very powerful tool when working off-site or talking to people who aren't exactly in the room specifically. So that's another option you can have with Google and Hangouts.
Have we still got our Albine?
Oh yeah, we actually have someone who's dialed in to the VC in Hangouts, and I can show you, and it's working pretty seamlessly. So we have a Hangout going here, and we have Albine who's dialed in through Hangouts, and she's watching same as everybody else, just through Hangouts. and it's a pretty powerful video conferencing system as well.
Jason, just before you go off that, students have got access to Hangout, have they?
No. So, Jeff, students do not have access to Google Hangouts. The reason for that is to participate in a Hangout, you need to have a Google Plus account. So for those of you, just to quickly cover that, I'm noticing as I'm looking at the shared presentation, and you may see this yourself if you're looking at the shared presentation, some folks have a picture of themselves, and some folks are represented either by just an animal or a letter. If you're represented by an animal or a letter, you may not have signed up for Google Plus yet, where you get to upload a photo of yourself and identify yourself that way. So I'd encourage all staff to sign up with Google Plus. It's very simple. In fact, Jason, do you just want to quickly show your email? Yeah, you can see in the top left-hand corner of Jason's email, it says Plus Jason. For those of you who haven't signed up for Google Plus yet, it will say plus YOU, as in plus you. All you do is click plus, that plus you, and you'll be guided through how to sign up for Google Plus. So we'd encourage you to do that. You'll be able to participate in Hangouts much more simply, in a faster and more streamlined way. Back to Jeff's question, students don't have access to Google Plus because it's a 13 and over service, so we haven't enabled it for the whole student domain. And if you don't have access to Google Plus, you don't have access to Hangouts. So the question then is, well, if I want to do a Hangout with my class, how can I do that? Well, you simply run it, because you can always run a Hangout. So you can run a Hangout, participate in a video conference on behalf of your students by using your account. Jeff, did that answer your question?
Oh, yeah.
Are there any other questions from anybody about Hangouts or Google Plus? Cool. Okay,
Awesome.
Keep going.
Moving on. So, at the moment, I am currently developing this resource, this site that helps with different apps in the Google environment, as well as specific activities like the ones we are addressing today. You can get to the site via this URL, which is in the presentation. You can click that, it's live at the moment. However, it is in its very early stages, and there's not a lot of the links up yet. So you can access that, and you can choose. So if I click it there, you can navigate via your app or via a specific activity that you want to try out. So if we look at our next one, YouTube, which is going to use the site. One of the first ones that I looked at was YouTube, and it's the power of YouTube in the classroom, because there are obviously some very notable channels and very powerful channels that are in YouTube and should be looked at by teachers. First off, we just want to look at the difference between YouTube Education and YouTube Teachers. YouTube Education section has various educational videos ranging from primary to university level. You can view a full list of channels here. So I've linked here, and you've got obviously all these channels that are in the EDU section of YouTube. So the EDU section of YouTube are just educational videos, and they're curated by YouTube. YouTube Teachers, on the other hand, is curated by teachers for teachers, and you can sort it via your specific needs. So, for instance, if I wanted, so this is the teachers section. So if I go to the videos, it might take a little bit, sorry. So I can select my topic, my age level, and it's got a whole list of YouTube videos and playlists available for that. Going even further, I thought that it can be even further documented, because a lot of those playlists are they're not very well updated, and they're not of a very, very high quality. So I went and with the help of the Google Guides as well, I went and identified some really quality, updated regularly channels for specific areas. So I've identified, you've got primary, you've got your maths, you've got some science. There's quite a few science ones because there's lots of good science videos on YouTube, some PDHPE, history, and there's a whole host of quality channels that are updated. I think on the average, each of those ones are updated weekly. So you're getting a new video each week, and it's something good to maybe just as a class primer, or if you're doing something specific, it's good to address it that way. And YouTube is a very, very good tool to use in the classroom. And you can access those and you can just click them and that opens the channel via that website.
10 minutes.
All right, let's quickly move on. Okay, so student projects and using Google Sites for student projects. You can create, students can create Google Sites as well as yourselves, and it's a good way to get assessments submitted. I want to show quickly some really, really good examples that have come out of De La Salle at Reesby. So these are created from students as a part of an assessment task, and they're, it's obviously very easy to embed things, pictures, text, and this is a science assessment task. So the boys had to, do a science experiment and talk about their results, etc.
Was it also integrated with English?
It was a cross-curricular. I'm pretty sure it was a cross-curricular assessment task as well that was with English as well. So, I mean, it was a very good example, and these are just obviously some very good examples of some student-created work through Google Sites. And so that's shareable with, the boys were able to share with their teacher, and the teacher could then go through and have a look at it and mark it, and it's always available to mark and yeah. So some really good work coming out of Google Sites for student assessment. You can also create staff portals or intranets using Google Sites. This is just an example of one at De La Salle that is a intranet design, or you can create a staff portal where you can put all your resources that can be accessed off-site rather than having to going into school to get off your local server. So that's another good use of Google Sites. And in the third VC session that's coming up in a few weeks,
13th.
On the 13th, I'll be showing you. I'll be specifically targeting Google Sites and how to make an effective Google site. You can also create a classroom website for your class or a KLA that students can access, and they can get information off, or their assessment tasks, or they can access what they need to do for homework, or you can upload your class work that you've covered that day, or whatever that may be, embedding calendars or the homework that we showed earlier, videos, presentations, and things like that. So they can access it wherever, whenever. Some other good Google initiatives. These are made by Google, and these are really, really quality initiatives that they've gone and done. The Cultural Institute. Oh, let's go quickly back. The Google Cultural Institute is a website designed to give a look at history, identifying sources, and looking at different events throughout history that have been that are important, and it gives a bit of information about that. Actually, a lot of information. Google Art Project is good for creative arts teachers looking at different works in different museums that you may not have seen before, or famous works that you may have seen but want to maybe take a tour of the museum. It has a Google Street View kind of interface in some of the museums, and you can walk through that way. And it's a really good way to, show work to students. And the World Wonders is a good one to, especially for geography, using the same kind of Street View interface. So, for instance, if we look at the Great Barrier Reef, we can navigate the Great Barrier Reef from our classroom, and you can move forward. Obviously, having a look at different areas of the Barrier Reef that they've taken, and it shows you has an interactive map. You got videos, you got information, and it's a wealth of knowledge for the various areas around the world. And finally, if you just want to make a presentation like we've seen today that I've created, a good Google Presentations set that can be accessed through Drive. You create a presentation, and it's very similar to PowerPoint. Thank you. In its interface, and it's a really, really powerful tool. And I'll just show you the power of presentations. If it gets a little bit juddery, you might want to follow that. Let me just... Oh, sorry. Let's go straight to YouTube. Skip the middleman. Oh, no. Oh, no.
What was that? You just need to lift it up. Just drag the
iPhone.
Get out of presentation. Get out of the view.
Here we go. Ooh, doesn't like me today. Let me go here.
Yeah, it's because you need to exit it. Yeah, exit that.
Here we go.
And now you can lift it up, and you'll be able to get to it.
Let me just go straight here.
Yeah.
All right, Google Presentations.
Some sound.
So you can see the power that a few people can make collaborating with Google Presentations.
Oh, for the presentations. Oh.
And that was all done in Google Presentations. You can see that was done in 450 slides. Those are just 20 ways to use Google in the classroom. Hopefully you've taken something away. If you do have any questions, you can use that Moderator site to ask questions. You can get the link in the presentation. So yeah, thank you very much for your attendance and cooperation today, and hopefully you got something out of it today.